Okay.
Okay. It helps if you don't miss the button when you hit it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Unleash You. Samar thinks.
This guy,
All right.
Coach Mike Faber, over there.
My coach, my favorite. What's up, guys? Another Unleash You podcast. You can check us out, the Unleash You podcast, on CoachMikeFaber.com. As of right now, it should be on iTunes soon as Samar takes it serious.
As soon as I get a whole lot smarter or more knowledgeable is more of the point, and figure out how.
Cuts nets. Right? The
So,
topic of today.
really great transition. We're talking about safety nets today. How would you describe a safety net?
I think there's a couple different ways to describe a safety net. Right? I think people do this all the time when it's like, man, I really like doing this, or I really want to do this, but this is how I make my income. This is how I provide for me or my people, my family, whatever it is. It's those things that we justify not going for what we want to ourselves and other people. It's how we justify our decision not to risk it and go for it. Because, and I mean, we could talk about this. It's when anybody talks to me about, like, especially my niche, right? My niche is taking people that have a passion and help them make it their profession. Right? That's my focus point. And when I talk to people that want to do these amazing things, want to do these great things, and they always have the same kind of story. It's like, this is more of a hobby, and I do all these other things to be able to provide. And one of my questions is, have you looked for that which lights up your soul, which kind of, makes your heart beat, that makes, I always say, makes your heart beat. Right, it's like whatever it is that gives you that oomph, right, that gets you excited to wake up and go for something. Whatever that is, did you ever look for a profession in that? And a lot of times it's, no, I don't really think so. The money's not there, or, the time, or why would they hire me, kind of. And then again, justifying why not to go for it, right? We spend so much time justifying why not to go for things rather than why to go for things. And my thing is, you can tell me all the reasons why you can't go for something, that's fine. But if you say at one point throughout it all, like, this is what I love, or this is what makes me go, or this is what excites me, I'm going to say all those other reasons are not worth stopping that one reason. That one reason is big enough to trump all the other reasons.
Yeah, and I think that last bit kind of speaks to a Les Brown idea, where he talks occasionally about making sure that whatever it is that you do, you have the... Sorry, there's a technical difficulty. Okay.
It's there, we're fine. That was only for us. It wasn't for everybody.
All right, well, ruin the video. But make sure that whatever it is, you have the ability to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, is unreasonable. You have to be willing to be unreasonable with your goals, and I mean I'm absolutely with that. That is when I coach, when I do any sort of public speaking thing, my siren cry is kind of, does it make sense? No? Well, do it anyway, because it's what you love. Right? Is it going to make the world a better place? Is it going to make you a better person? Do it, because you can't afford not to. And kind of to go back to the beginning of what you said there, you were talking about people saying, yes, I love it, but... one of my big things in especially couples counseling is, I'm sorry, but isn't an apology. So you may as well have never said I'm sorry. And then you say, let's bring it back to yourself when you're talking about, I love it, but then you don't love it enough. It'll never be a passion. You'll never turn that interest into a passion, so that passion can become a profession if you say, I love it, but anything. Nothing should get in the way of your dreams, and a lot of people talk a lot about, well, that's easy. That's easier said than done. Well, yeah, obviously. It is a lot easier said than done. But that's one step. Trent Shelton always says that. It's a lot easier to say you're hungry than to get up and make the food. But what do we do every day? We get up and we make the food because we're hungry. That's the next logical step, is action. And as long as you're moving, you're doing progress when you have your goals in mind.
Right? And I always say it's the but is the justifier. That's what makes it okay for us. Right? Like, that's what makes it acceptable to ourselves, because we always try to make it acceptable to ourselves. One of the biggest hang-ups with people with this is that it's the longer you wait for something, Mel Roberts, right, says this, the longer you wait for something, the more likely you are to talk yourself out of it.
Mel Robbins.
Robbins, sorry.
Like Tony, but not related.
I'm really bad at names. And that's, to me, that's where we go with that, is that we try to talk ourselves out of it. So we're like, man, I do love this. But, I have these bills, I have family, what can I do? And I would say it's how bad do you want something, right? It comes down to how bad you really want it. Do you really love it, right? Are you really willing to go all in for it? And then it's, how can I work this around? Because I understand people do have bills. I understand people do have lives. I understand people do have families. So it's not like quit everything and go. Right. No, but here comes the but. But you can find ways to do it with doing it. So it's, Gary Vee says all the time, like, I don't care, your kids go to bed at 9, 10, then stay up, what are you doing from 10 to midnight, or 10 to 2, or it's, how bad do you really want this? You want to get in shape, but you don't have time during the day. Or are you willing to get up an hour earlier to go to the gym to get in shape? Right? Like, are you willing to search, newspapers and online to find jobs that match up with things that you're passionate about, and then start low and work your way up? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to get a part-time job in that field to work to a full-time job in that field, because that's what you want, that's your passion, that's your love, that's your heart? And it's always like, it's cool saying, oh yeah, I love this, oh yeah, that's great, oh yeah, this is awesome, oh yeah, I really enjoy doing this. That's cool. But it's how bad, what are and how much are you willing to do for it? And the problem is, a lot of us will use those things I call safety nets to keep us from, one, taking the risk and failing, because people don't like failing, even though I think that's part of the journey, right? Many people do. And we all fail, so that's silly when we're like, well, we don't want to, we're all going to fail. Right. It's like, it's struggle, we're all going to struggle. Yeah,
you can fail at something you hate, so you may as well do something you love.
Right, I forget who said it, but they said the struggle is promised, but the triumph is optional. I forget who said that, but it was really good. Yeah,
that's really great.
Thanks.
I don't know who could have come up with that.
But to me, it's that we're all going to be in those moments and those situations where we do experience pain, where we do have struggle, where we do fail. We're going to have them regardless. They're promised. They're going to happen. So might as well, if we're going to experience the bad, might as well go for the greatest good we can go for. And that's the things we're passionate about. But we all too often will try to find a reason why we can't.
Yeah. And, when you have a safety net, let's think about it in the terms of the Batman movie. Which one was that? The Batman Rises, The Dark Knight Rises. He has this rope tied to him. It's a spoiler warning. There's this rope tied to him, and he's supposed to make it out of this prison that's down a shaft. And every time he has that rope tied to him, he can't make it. He doesn't have the will, essentially, to add to his muscle to make it. And then once that safety net was removed, that rope that was making sure he didn't die was removed, he made it out of there, and he went back and he saved Gotham. Well, you knew that was going to happen. I hope that wasn't too much of a spoiler. Batman saves Gotham. Every time anything happens, he does. But to relate that back to our lives, if you have a safety net in place and you know it's only there so that you don't fail, get rid of it. You have no right to safety. It's a privilege. If you want that privilege, keep it. But it isn't a right. It isn't a thing that our lives require for continued living. What you actually need, is that in the...
There's a little
awesome.
theme music for you.
I was like, wow, he added some music underneath so that I could... Oh man, that was great. Where was I? I don't know where I was. But to kind of bring us back to something that makes sense. Our lives aren't about staying safe. Our lives are about finding meaning. And I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but psychologically, us as humans we feel most fulfilled when our life is about something.
All right. So now we identified safety nets and how we can find them, right? How can we see ourselves doing them, right? Now we know some terminology and that hesitation, that feeling, that weight, that try to justify. What are some ways you would tell them to stop that, to cut that out, to really, like you said, take that rope off and make that jump without having any assurance you'll make it? And one thing to identify is, like we talked about earlier, is people fail all the time, right? I mean, and great people have failed multiple times. Abraham Lincoln, Henry Ford, Edison.
Walt Disney went bankrupt 7 times.
Right. So to me, it's, and then they go, well, something that I hit on earlier on, and it was from my own demons, was that I'm not them. And then I really had to dive into my own life and look and see where I overcome, where I overachieve, even after failing, how I bounce back. What struggles have I been through? What battles have I fought? The losses and the wins. And that is where you gain strength. But how would you tell someone, listen, you have these safety nets, and this is how you can take them off you and be able to go all out for something?
Yeah, well, let's say we're in a more coaching arena, and we've identified safety nets. We've identified that this safety net is purely for for safety. It's not for your continued existence. Your kids are still going to eat if it's not there. You're fine. You just feel comfortable with this security blanket. What it starts from, for me, is asking a simple question. I'm big on really simple questions lately, but asking a simple question: can I stop? And it speaks not to the ability necessarily. What it speaks to when you ask, can I stop, is, do I have the strength in me yet? Have I built that mental toughness to go out in the wilderness or to just jump without anything holding me? Because if you don't yet, then you know what you have to do. You have to build that mental toughness. You have to believe that you're going to do something when you say you're going to do it. You have to practice things over and over, which is something that I focus on in my coaching, that you practice habits, and those habits assist you in your decision making. So I would say definitely, can I stop?
Nice.
What about you? Do you have a small or a big thing, a
right.
process that gets those safety nets taken care of?
There's 2 things I would do. One, if I'm standing in front of an audience speaking, right, I would tell them that, cut them little and be willing to go all out for something. Because how many times have you been willing to go all out for something? And I bet if you look back and say, I actually went all out for that, you probably gained something from it. You might not have went all the way to the pinnacle, but you've gained something from it. So how many times have you been willing to go all out for something and really do it? Not the, oh yeah, I'm going to do it, oh yeah, I am, but really not. Because I've been there too, where I'm like, oh, I'm going all out for that. But I kind of really didn't go all out for it, so it's not real, but I can pretend and act like it's real.
It's that
right?
I love it, but...
Right, yeah, it's that, and also that fear of failure, right? Because, if I say I didn't go all out, well, I didn't give everything I had for that, that's why it happened. Rather than being like, no, I just wasn't good enough at this time, but I learned and got better and I'm going to go at it again kind of thing. So if I'm speaking to an audience, then it's literally rip everything off of you and go for it. I mean, literally go and be willing to say I went all out for something, because that's the only way to leave a mark. That's the only way to leave a legacy, right? That's the only way to leave something of meaning, is going all out for it. Being willing to look like the fool, being willing to fail, being willing to be embarrassed, whatever it is that you think that comes with that word failure, right? I like now, right? Failure means very little to me other than I'm going for something. But when I was younger, it was like, oh my God, please don't.
I can't fail.
This is so embarrassing. They're judging me. What am I going to do? And then, as you go on, you're like, who cares, right? Like, they weren't with you when you put the hours in to try to perfect this or go for this or build the ability to be able to do it. They weren't there then. Who cares what they have to say about you, right? And I think a lot of coaching through sports has taught me that, because, no one's in the locker room with us, no one's in practice with us, it's just us. So who cares what the outsiders are saying at that point? You're just going for something. You have a small circle or a team or just you, really. It's whatever your circumstance is. You're the only one that knows exactly what you're doing, what you're not doing, and don't try to BS yourself. Actually go all out for something. That's what I would say if I was speaking to a group of people. In more the coaching area, I would think about this. Bring up your safety lines. Like, let's say the money from a job, right? Let's bring up a safety line saying the money from a job is my safety line. What is that money? You write down the total of that money. All right. Now, this money provides me to be able to do this. This is why I do it. All right. So I understand why I do it. There's actually real reasoning to this. It makes sense. It's feasible. Like, it's not like some BS you're telling yourself. It makes sense.
It's like the excuses, they're valid.
Right. There are some.
They may not be needed, but they're valid.
Right. There are concerns, like paying your heating bill is a concern. I get it. Right? And then I would go to the next line and be like, this amount is what I need per year, per month, whatever it is, per week, whatever you want to break it down to. All right, how can I do that? How can I make this? Because this is, the ending of this isn't the job. The ending of this is the money in which it provides. That's why it's like, I have to do this. So then I go, how can I do that without being stuck in this? Right, so then I go, all right, where can I find this in things that do excite me, or the field I'm trying to get into, or the profession or passion I'm trying to follow? Can I make any of that through that? All right, if I can.
No, you can't see it. He's drawing out a map for us on the table here.
Right. If I can, cool. Right. Check mark. Then I go, all right, what extra side things can I do? Like, listen, I can't work a 9 to 5 because there's some hours in there that I need to be doing this thing I'm passionate about if I want to make it to the level in which I want to make it to, which is the greatest of all time. Right. So I can't do that. All right. So how can I get what the 9 to 5 gives without doing the 9 to 5? Well, I can work odd end jobs that I can dictate time moreover, right? Like, all right, I need to, rake the leaves, or, I need to, provide the service, whatever the service might be, name it, right? Whatever you're cooking, fixing a car, whatever it is, whatever services you can provide, I can do this because I've done this. So then I could do this on side jobs in times that I'm free, that I don't have to be doing this other things. Let's say if I need my 9 to 5 free, then I could do it at night. Or if I need my nights free, I can do it in the daytime, right, et cetera, vice versa. Right? So I would start looking at that. And then I would look at, all right, what jobs can I find? Because this isn't, if it's not your profession, right? If it's a job, there's a difference, right? If it's not your profession, it's a job, then you really don't care about it. You care about what it gives you. So as long as I can find that somewhere else, it's not a loss. So what jobs can I do that work around that time? Well, I know there's like stocking, after-hour stocking. I know there's overnight jobs when not much is going on that I can focus and give that time without losing this other stuff. All right, cool. Am I willing to do that? That's on this list. All right, so I can find jobs that fit the hours in which I'm looking. I can find odd jobs. I can find jobs that are more giving in time, so I can fluctuate more because sometimes, especially in the entrepreneurship world, the timing of what you have to do and when you have to do it changes. It fluctuates. It's never just like this constant line, except if you're thinking all time, which is pretty much entrepreneurship is. But it's so to me, I would think of those things. How can I make this list? How can I make this amount? Because that's what I need, with not doing this thing that's taking up the time in which I want to give to these other things. So then I could fluctuate my time more to fit what I want it to fit, what I want it to do. And that's the two ways I would go about it. Coaching one-on-one, I would list it up, right? And then group, I would be like, listen, it's identify the strings, cut them. Rip them off you, get them off you, and then be willing to go all out for something. To me, that sounds natural. To most, it doesn't. Because, think about how we're taught, right? You're taught, get a good, secure job.
Of course.
Put some money in the bank for a rainy day, right?
From the days of the Depression, from the 50s, from every era, you were taught that shift work or something secure that someone else owns is how you succeed.
Right. Listen, a good and success is always. We all make our own success. The definition of success is different to every single person, as it should be. All right. But to me, I'm sitting here going, all right, you're taught, put money away, get that job that you have those benefits because you need them. Right? You need them. Right? How many times do people go, but the benefits are great? Yeah. I was like, but you're miserable, so the benefits aren't great. right? And like that's not a benefit.
Those are the benefits. The benefits are you're miserable when you go home.
Right. So and then listen, I can speak from my own behalf. I worked a job I was not passionate about for years. I worked a job that I was not happy about for years, that I was not excited about, and no longer at first. Like, listen, it got to the point where I had to listen to Bob Marley, Three Little Birds on my shoulder, right? Three Little Birds. And I was on my shoulder because the other Zippity Doo-Dah song.
Zippity Doo-Dah's the
right?
Birds on the Shoulder.
Yeah, they're both good, right?
Both great.
And then Don't Worry, Be Happy. Every day before I went into work, because it was just, I had to get my mind in a place where it was like, it wasn't like, oh, this, right? Yeah. So you go from there, and then no longer did it affect me at the job. Sooner or later, in time, it affected me at home. When home, I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't fully in the relationship with the people in my life and my family, right? So then it's now I have that, and it started just trickling down effect on everything. But I'm like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do because I have a secure job, I have benefits, I'll have a retirement, I'll have all these things that I was told. That's success.
Yeah.
That's when you're doing it the right way, man. You're doing good. You'll like this in 30 years.
Right.
And
when you quit.
When that hit me, and I was just like, oh my Lord, I have to feel like this for 30 years? This is unacceptable to me. Right? And that's when it was like, I have to take control of my life. Now, I'm lucky enough that, to me, it happened early enough. Because I feel like sometimes I sit here and I think, man, I got really lucky because it didn't take me till I was in my 60s or 70s to realize, man, I hated 30 years of my life, and I did it because in a point I was taught where the benefits were more important than fulfillment.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a lie. Absolutely.
And I think I want to really focus on a nugget of what you said there. Well, just a little bit. The idea of tolerating that for 30 years. You have in your life what you will tolerate. Mm-hmm. If you hate something for 30 years, if you hate something for 1 year, it's too much. Mm-hmm. You need to find something else. Tolerate. Be willing to say that's not something I'll tolerate. Be willing to say something like that isn't going to fly in my life because I want better.
Right. At the end, it comes down to when you draw the line in the sand. Right?
Absolutely. Where you can say this is something that I'll stand for. We're in the middle of an office. This is what I'll stand for, and I will go no further. Now, as you grow older, as you grow more mature, or as you grow stronger, I was talking about emotional and mental toughness earlier. As you grow further into those things, what you're going to understand is, I will tolerate less. Mm-hmm. And I will tolerate less in the way of how poorly things can go, but I will tolerate more in the way of how great things can be. And more to your point, Simon Sinek talks about the idea. He cites a study. I don't know what the study is. I didn't see the results, so that's why I'm citing him. He says that kids of parents who work a lot of hours, but come home fulfilled, are fine. They're great kids, statistically. I'm sure there's some deviation there, but statistically, those kids are fine. Parents who come home from jobs where they're unfulfilled, regardless of the amount of hours they work, their kids turn into bullies, statistically. So it matters to the people in your life, even, that you're fulfilled. And you owe it not just to yourself, but to them, to find something that you can love and release yourself from those safety nets, because you're not the only one who's receiving the benefits of that, the real life benefits from that. It's your whole circle. Sphere of influence, if you will.
Sphere of influence. Right, no, I 100% agree. And I like how you said that, because it is like a twofold. It's like, first you have to find that thing. Right? Yeah. And that takes time sometimes. Yeah. Right? And sometimes you have multiple things in life. Like, I was funny when I started coaching, right? Not basketball coaching, individual coaching, right? It was the idea of I was this type of coach, and this was the type of coach I had to be, and this was going to be me forever. And then I went on and I was like, That doesn't have to be that way. I could
That's
coach
not right.
anything I want. No. And then it changed because I saw it through my life and my situations how the process of turning that passion into a profession and following that fulfillment train rather than that happy train, two different trains, that's an important process. And I want people to experience it earlier in life. Because, and it's selfishly speaking, if you're doing what you're passionate about, you're going to do it better.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Without a doubt. Easy.
Absolutely.
Right? Science says that. If you're more engaged and passionate into something, then you're going to do better at it.
I'm glad you followed that up because all you said was science at first, and that's
science
not proof.
It, right? There's studies out there. Scientific says it. And so to me, it's like, if we can go through this earlier, you're going to go further in that profession that's your passion and accomplish more. And that's going to be able to make me do more.
Yes.
Right? Selfishly speaking, this could be straight where I'm like, listen, I need you to do the best you can do in the field that you'll give your most to, because that'll push us farther and give us more capabilities.
Yeah.
Right? Give us more
that
possibilities.
speaks to what you'll leave behind. One of my guiding principles is legacy.
Right.
And if you can't leave behind something that matters, what did you even do here? My dad, he tells a story from Africa. He tells from the story from the old country. But this was one he actually went through where he had an uncle. Uncle was bump of a log kind of guy. Bump on a log. There we go. Bump on a log kind of guy. He was there being taken care of by my grandfather and lived his life full. He died in his 50s. And his dad took him aside after the funeral and asked him, now what did he leave behind? And he was, my dad's like 12. I don't know, he left a couch. Wasn't his couch. But he said, leave. He left someone else's couch behind, actually. But his dad turned to him and said, no matter what you do in life, be remembered. And he's remembered that to this day, and obviously told his kid 30 years later.
So really what we're saying, to wrap this up a little bit.
Right, to put a neat little bow.
Right? Find that passion. Find what you believe your calling is, your purpose is. Right? Yeah. Cut the safety nets and be willing to go all out for it. Now, I'm not saying just quit everything and run down the street and go for it. I'm saying make it where you accept going for it. Whatever you have to do to make it acceptable to go for it, do it. Yeah. Like if you have to find that other gig, if you have whatever it is, but let's not be like, I can't because of this. No, I can, I will, I'll find the way.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how you find the way.
Exactly. And I just thought of this example. If you wanted to be a nudist, right? If that was what you loved, you wouldn't just take your clothes off and start walking around. You would find a way to make that acceptable, right? And that's appropriate. It is absolutely appropriate in certain places and times. Mm-hmm. So you find a way to get that into your life, no matter what you have to do that. But you're gonna have to change your whole life, and that's required for your dreams. When you're really living your dreams, your version of success, you have no need, I should say, no need to keep your life exactly the same way. In fact, you would probably be a lot happier if you changed it.
Right? So, find your purpose, find your passion.
Find it.
Go all out for it. Be willing to cut the strings.
Number 2, go all out.
All right? 3, leave the legacy. Your greatest legacy you could leave.
The best one possible. Otherwise, what are you even doing here?
Right?
Go, as Les Brown says, you want to leave. You want to go to your grave used up.
Damn right.
Man, it's like a preacher. I gotta do the thing.
So as I say, go for it.
Yeah.
Some more things.
Coach Mike Fabber.
We out. Unleash You, the podcast.
Yeah, that's
Check us out. CoachMikeFavor.com. Till Samar does more. We're out. You hit that button?
Oh, hey, that's gotta.